Just put in into additional.
Okay.
Let's keep it.
Everyone on? Yeah, we got 1 minute until 6. Six. We can call the meeting to order. You want to have a roll call, please?
Mr. Syracuse,
Here.
Mr. DeFranco,
Here.
Jim Blank,
Here.
Mr. Michalko,
Here.
Ms. Weber,
Here.
Mr. Russell.
Here.
All right, this is a meeting of the Board of Zoning Appeals, Mayfield Village, Tuesday, June 5th, 2021. This meeting has been duly noticed and will be held in accordance with Ohio Revised Code Section 121.22, specific to recent amendments made in light of the current COVID-19 declared emergency, House Bill 197, amended by House Bill 404. Under the orders of Governor DeWine, the Board of Zoning Appeals will be meeting remotely via electronic. The first item on our agenda would be consideration of our special meeting minutes from the meeting held March 23rd, 2021. At this time, I entertain a motion to approve the minutes as submitted.
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Can we have a roll call?
Mr. Syracuse,
Abstain.
Mr. DeFranco,
Yes.
Mr. Blank,
Oh, yes.
Mr. Michalko.
Yes.
Okay, the motion carries. Before we get into the two cases tonight, I'd like to congratulate John Morelli on his retirement. It's been wonderful working with him in all of the years that I've been on this board. And I'd like to welcome our new building commissioner, Dan Russell.
Thank you, guys. Appreciate it.
Welcome aboard, Dan. We're all looking forward to working with you going forward.
Thank you. I'm looking forward to it also.
Great. So our first case is case number 2021-02. Jackie Schneeweiss and Michael Scheck, 6819 Metro Park Drive, from parcel number 831-19-006. There are two requests here for area variances. The first is a request for a 529 square foot area variance from section 1157.06A2 to allow for construction of a garage outbuilding. And pertaining to the garage outbuilding, the second request is for 1 foot 8 inch height variance from section 1157.06A4 to allow for construction of the garage outbuilding. The abutting property owners have been notified. I think we've received some written correspondence from a few of them as well. In addition to what we have in our file, we received written correspondence from Don Rapicelli giving us full approval for both of these cases, or at least a voicemail. So at this time, whoever's here to present on behalf of the applicants, if you could state your names and addresses, and I'll get you sworn in.
My name is Mike
Good
Shep.
evening, everybody. Good evening, everybody. My name's Lenny Rizzo. I'm one of the participants representing Tony Livermore Jr.
Mr. Rizzo, that's for the second case. We're here on the first case, 2021-02.
Okay, I'm sorry.
So I believe Mr. Sheck, are you
Yes,
on?
yes, I
Okay.
am.
You could please, again, just state your name and address.
My name is Michael Scheck. I live at 6819 Metro Park Drive. I am on the applicant with Jackie Schneeweiss for building this garage.
Okay, could you please raise your right hand? Do you swear that the testimony you're about to give in this matter should be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
Okay, you can proceed.
I would like a variance to build a 28 by 43 by 16 tall building with a 3-car garage, a wood shop for my father-in-law, and a storage building. And I'm asking you, the village of Mayfield, for the variance to build this.
And presently, you have a barn that's on the
Yes,
lot?
yes, it's 33 by 22 by 21 foot tall, and it's falling apart. It's got a dirt floor. It's an old horse barn, probably built when this house originally was built. There is pictures I sent of this barn. That's it right there. And I will be removing that barn, and the garage is going to the right of that barn, and it's going to take up some of that barn where it was located, approximately about half of it.
And your wife's father is moving in with you?
Yes, my mother-in-law passed away last March, and we just got approval for we're adding an addition, an in-law suite plus extra rooms on the back, and he is going to be moving in with us.
Okay.
And workshop, my father-in-law, he's 85. He's a retired doctor from Hillcrest Hospital, and he loves carving, and he makes figurines, I guess you can call them. And for a guy that's 85 years old and he keeps himself busy, especially after just what he went through, it's something that's good for him.
Okay. Well, in granting a variance, the board would need to use the practical difficulty standard. The criteria are what was in the application that was submitted. And in granting an area variance, the board has to determine that one or both of the following factors are met by the request. A, the conditions upon which an application for a variance is based are particular to the subject property with respect to the physical size, shape, or other characteristics of the premises or adjoining premises, differentiating it from other premises in the same district. Or B, the variance would result in an improvement of the property that is more appropriate and more beneficial to the community than would be the case without granting the variance. Mr. Scheck, what about this property makes it unique compared to any other properties in Mayfield Village that a variance should be granted?
Well, the size of it, it's my lot is 80 wide by 425 deep. I already have a building on it that is above your guys's allowable building space, and there is several other garages in my neighborhood that are bigger than the one I want to build. And I feel that it's really not, I wouldn't call it unique, but it makes it look a lot better to build a new garage than to have my barn that's falling apart in my backyard. It's in disarray, and it's not even worth fixing.
Can I ask you why the height is going to be above what the code requires?
Yes, I have classic cars that I like to work on, and I want to put a lift in my garage to work on them. And that's the use for the 12-foot ceilings I need.
How tall is the barn that's currently there?
It's like 21 foot. It's a 2-story barn. There's an upstairs to it.
Okay. I guess some photos were submitted. We do have a memorandum from our previous building commissioner, John Morelli, where he researched photos submitted by the applicant of oversized garage structures. One is at 513 Sound Center. The garage was built in 1974 and predates the code, so it was grandfathered in. But the second one from 511 Sound Center, in 2006, the homeowner asked for a variance request of 525 square feet for construction of a 1,200 square foot structure. And this board actually denied it, but the homeowner appealed to council, and council overturned our board's decision. And the other one was 6735 Hickory Hill, where the garage was attached to the house addition by a breezeway in 1986, so the BZA was not required. Mr. Russell, do you have anything you'd like to comment on regarding this application?
It appears that he wants to build a slightly larger garage than he already has there. I don't see I really don't have an objection to it from what I can see here. It's a little bit larger, it's a little bit lower in height, so you're not going to be able to see it probably from the street. And it's going to be in much better condition than what the existing barn is. Zoning wise, I mean, there's the size, is quite a bit of a variance. Height is really not too bad, in my opinion, but I really have no objection to the variances.
And I always look for something that sets the property apart, so we're not setting precedent in granting any variance that would be something that anyone who applies would then be able to get the same variance. And in this instance, I see that the building being erected behind the residence, where there's already a barn that's going to be torn down, is quite tall as well. I think that we can just make a distinction here between this and any other applications we may receive for something similar, where the garage would be either attached or right next to or in front of the house. Any other members have any questions for this applicant or for anyone else?
I do, Vitas, I do. This is Steve O. I'm just curious from the applicant, to the east of your property, there's another structure there. What is this structure to the east of your property in the backyard of that home?
My neighbor went for a variance as well to build a building that I have pictures of. If you look at there should be a picture there of his address at Metro Park Drive.
No, I don't believe we have that.
I didn't see that either.
Keep going.
Not at all. I have.
Oh, I did send it in to him. But my neighbor had a variance too at I can't even think of his address right now, but his name is Brian, and he put an outbuilding up that was much bigger than your variance, and you guys granted him the variance for it.
Do you know, it seems that it's a garage also, is that correct?
Yes.
It seems like his garage is actually bigger than yours, if I'm not mistaken.
No, his garage is just a little bit smaller than than mine.
Than what you're proposing?
Yes.
Okay.
I think for me, the replacement of the dilapidated barn is really the big point in favor of this.
I have a concern about setting a precedent for this, and also the fact, and I know Vita questioned me on this, but the noise when you're working on vehicles. This is a residential area. It's not a working area. So
I don't,
as of this point in time, I am not in favor of it.
Any other questions or comments? If none, then I would entertain a motion to approve. We could take these together, I believe, rather than separate, because they're both for the same garage outbuilding. So if someone wants to make a motion to approve the two variances, we can have a vote.
I'll move to approve them.
Is there a second?
I second.
Moved and seconded. Can we have a roll call, please?
Mr. Syracuse,
Yes.
Mr. DeFranco,
Yes.
Mr. Blake,
Yes.
Mr. Michelko.
No.
Okay, with the vote being 3-1, the motion actually does carry. So the variance is requested. I'm sorry, the variance is granted. So we will move on to case number 2021-03. Oh, do we have 10 days? Anyone who is an objection to this will have 10 days to file an appeal. They'll be notified and they'll have to file that within 10 days.
excuse me, I didn't hear it. Did it pass or not pass?
Yes, it passed.
It passed, okay.
And if anyone has any objection, they'd have 10 days to file an appeal.
Okay,
You won't want to file an appeal because it passed. but
absolutely not,
If anyone else wants to, they can.
right, absolutely not.
All
I
right, thank you.
just know, do I just got to get hold of now of the city to move forward, or do I have to wait the 10 days?
You can contact the building department and they'll advise you on that, okay?
Excellent. I appreciate your guys' time
Thanks.
and
Mr.
everything. So, thank you very much.
Okay, thanks.
Yes, have a good night.
You too. Our second case is case number 2021-03. Anthony Liberatore, 6716 Metro Park Drive from the parcel number 831-18-028. This is a request for a 12-yard front yard setback from section 1181.07E to allow for garage expansion. The abutting property owners have been advised and notified. At this time, whoever's here to make a presentation on behalf of the applicant, if you could please state your name and address for the record.
Good evening, Board of Mayfield Village. This is Lenny Rizzo, representing Tony Liberatore Jr. We're representing the address 6716 Metro Park Drive, Mayfield Village, Ohio. Also with me is Larry Otino. He'll introduce himself.
I'm Larry Otino, 6028 Mayfield Road. We're here this evening to try to get a 12-foot variance for Mr. Liberatore's garage. This variance is, we consider it a hardship.
Okay, well, hold on.
Liberatore-
Before you proceed, we'll need to swear.
Sure.
Testify in. So I don't see it on the screen, but take it for your word. If you could raise your right hand. Do you swear the testimony you're about to give shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
I do.
Okay, you can proceed.
Okay. What we were requesting from you gentlemen is a 12-foot variance on the garage. The reason for the variance is Mr. Liberatore is handicapped somewhat. He's had several operations. He's going to need more operations, and he cannot make steps very easily at all. It's very, very, very difficult. He purchased this home that was built in the late 60s, I believe, for around $267,000. He's going to be doing a totally ADA update on the home, putting in another $225,000. So in reality, he'll have about $450,000, $475,000 in the home. It'll be a beautiful home for the neighborhood. The problem is the garage. We have to put a ramp in there for himself and for he's going to be living with his 83-year-old mother. who uses a walker, cannot make the steps. So we have to put a ramp in the garage. With the ramp in the garage and his vehicle, he drives a big SUV. He's a big gentleman. And by the time he gets the SUV in the garage, opens the door and has room for the walker or, God forbid, his chair, he can't, there's no room left in the garage. The 2-car garage actually becomes a car and a half. His lot is only 75 foot wide, 4 foot on one side with a big tree that belongs to the neighbor, and 7 foot on the other side, but the chimney sticks out 2, so he has 5. To get his landscaping equipment back there, it's very, very difficult, so he's got to get smaller machinery to get in the backyard. It's really a hardship case, and we have signatures from neighbors. I don't know if you have a copy of it. We went around the neighborhood, and I think like 30 people have no objection to it and are happy to see the home being remodeled.
That's in our packet. It looks like it's 19 signatures on one page, and then we received, I think, 3 additional as well, which I don't know if the members have received.
There's 22 signatures total.
I believe there's 22 signatures.
Yeah, that sounds right.
I mean, I think this is much more better, excuse my English. This is a better idea than putting a ramp on the front door coming in directly into the house for aesthetics. And in the wintertime, Mrs. Libator, excuse me, at her age, going up a ramp, it doesn't, I think this is a much better situation for the problem we have.
Dan, I have a question for you. Is this still, the size-wise, this is still within the size permitted for a garage as proposed?
I don't see any detail on the drawing that's in front of me, what the actual size of this existing garage. 22 and a half by, with the width.
I'm assuming,
22 by 20.
I believe it's one.
the request is for the front yard setback, not for a size variance as was requested by the previous applicant.
Right.
Square footage, so I assume that this is within. Katie, do you have an idea?
Well, if it's a 22, just say 22 by 22, the original garage, something like that. That's right.
Correct.
That's
4 square
exactly
feet.
what it is.
And then you're adding another 12 by 22, almost 23. So that might be a little, it might be a little bit over. I don't know if that was calculated by the previous commissioner. He just went by the setback, it looks like.
Okay.
He didn't
Yeah.
take that into consideration, the
The
size.
variance request for the 12-yard front setback, they may have to come back for another one for the size since it's not part of this application, unless it fits within the code. But the reason I'm asking is, again, if this is within the size that it's permitted to be, and it's just a 12-foot variance with regard to the need to install a ramp there, that does set this apart from other properties that just want to expand it just to store more cars or do other things. Again, based on the criteria we have to go by, whether or not to grant the variance, try to find if there's something that sets this apart from other parcels, so as to not set a precedent that anyone who applies can just have one granted. Otherwise, there'd be no point in having our building code say what it does. Anyone have any questions or comments at this time?
Being that they have to have a ramp, and they should have the ramp inside the garage, the addition of the 12 feet, and if they screen it like it's screened now, you really won't see it from the street. So I don't think there'd be an issue with expanding an additional 12 feet.
Thanks, John.
I don't have an issue with it.
All right, any other questions for the applicant? All right,
No,
okay. Well, if there's nothing further, then we can go ahead if someone wants to make a motion to approve this request entertain a motion at this time.
I'll make the motion.
To approve.
All right,
I'll second. John first, I second, Steve-O.
Okay, thanks, Steve. Can we have a roll call?
Mr. Syracuse?
Yes.
Mr. DeFranco?
Yes.
Mrs. J.
Yes,
Mr. Michelko?
Yes.
Okay, the motion carries. Any interested parties who'd like to file an appeal would have 10 days to do so. With these being our only 2 cases tonight, that's the only business we have for tonight. So if someone would be willing to make a motion to adjourn,
so moved.
Second.
move in a second and a roll call, please.
Mr. Syracuse?
Yes.
Mr. DeFranco?
Yes.
Mr. Blank?
Yes.
Michelko?
Yes.
Okay, meeting adjourned. Thanks, everyone. Dan, it's great to meet
We
you.
want to thank you on behalf of Mr. Liberatore for this variance.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
Great to meet you, Dan.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Good night.
Folks.
Thanks,
Bye.
everybody.